When the salon manager told 16-year-old Zola Vance her braids were a texture we don't service, he had no idea her mother held a state civil rights inspector's badge. 5 words shattered his confidence. This is an official investigation. Have you ever felt the sting of rejection simply for being yourself? For honor student Zola, what should have been a routine salon appointment became a moment of public shame, until her mother transformed that humiliation into systematic justice. Tuesday, 4:15 p.m. Zola sat clutching her academic decathlon finalist certificate. Tomorrow she would stand on stage representing her school. She wanted to look perfect, her intricate braids freshly trimmed and styled. The luxury salon Eclat downtown seemed ideal. Its sleek white interior featured in magazines, its clientele exclusively affluent. "I'm sorry, we're not equipped to handle this type of hair," the manager said, his voice hushed, yet loud enough for everyone to hear. His eyes avoided hers while gesturing vaguely at her crown of braids. "It's a liability issue." Dr. Althea Vance, composed and dignified, simply nodded and led her daughter out. What the manager couldn't see was the identification card in her wallet. Lead investigator, Department of Fair Employment and Housing. This isn't just another discrimination story. It's about what happens when someone knows exactly how the system works and refuses to let injustice stand. By the end of this video, you'll witness how one mother's methodical approach dismantled an entire network of bias and why her strategy is revolutionizing how we fight discrimination today. The salon's rejection lasted seconds. The consequences would reshape an entire industry. Tuesday, 3:45 p.m. The high school auditorium emptied as students rushed toward waiting cars. Zola Vance moved differently, with purpose and pride. Her fingers traced the embossed letters on the academic decathlon program where her name appeared under essay competition finalists, top 5 statewide. "Mom, can you believe it?" Zola slid into the passenger seat, her voice electric with excitement. After all those late nights researching civil rights legislation throughout American history, Dr. Althea Vance adjusted her rearview mirror, her movements deliberate and precise. At 42, she carried herself with a quiet confidence earned through 15 years as an investigator with the Department of Fair Employment and Housing. Her career resolving discrimination cases had taught her patience, documentation, and the power of knowing exactly which laws applied in which situations. "The judges recognized quality when they read it," Althea replied, her smile warm but restrained. "Now, we have exactly 1 hour at A-Club before picking up your brother." Zola nodded, touching the intricate crown of braids adorning her head. Her Aunt Amani had spent 6 hours creating the masterpiece, tiny, geometric parts forming a protective style both functional and regal. Each twist represented hours of cultural knowledge passed through generations. "Just a scalp treatment and edge trim," Zola said. "I want to look flawless on that stage tomorrow." They pulled into the downtown shopping district where Eclat Salon commanded attention, a glass-fronted establishment nestled between designer boutiques. The salon's interior gleamed with calculated minimalism, white marble countertops, chrome fixtures, and abstract art pieces that cost more than most monthly rent payments. A receptionist with a platinum bob glanced up briefly as they entered. Her fingernails clicked against the keyboard as she maintained her phone conversation, nodding vaguely toward the waiting area. "Name?" she finally asked, without making eye contact. "Vance. We have a 4 appointment," Althea replied. The receptionist's eyes flicked to Zola's braids, then back to her screen. Something shifted in her expression, subtle but unmistakable. "Yes. Have a seat. Chloe will be with you shortly." The waiting area featured white leather chairs arranged around glass coffee tables displaying fashion magazines. Each stylist's station held identical equipment, meticulously aligned. The clients, mostly white women with smooth, straight hair, received focused attention from stylists who moved with practiced efficiency. Zola flipped through a magazine, excitement building for tomorrow's competition. The article she'd written on modern civil rights legislation had earned recognition from 3 university professors. At 16, possibilities stretched before her like an open road. "Vance?" A stylist with shoulder-length copper hair approached, clipboard in hand. "I'm Chloe. What are we doing today?" Chloe stood behind Zola, her fingers hovering uncertainly above the intricate braids. She touched them lightly as if handling fragile glass that might shatter. "So, just a scalp treatment and trim?" Chloe asked, meeting Zola's eyes in the mirror. "Yes, please," Zola replied confidently. "I have a big competition tomorrow." Chloe's hand withdrew. I should check something first." The stylist walked quickly to a man in a tailored black suit standing near the front desk. His posture radiated authority. The salon manager. Their whispered conversation was punctuated by glances toward Zola's chair. The manager nodded firmly before approaching with a practiced smile that never reached his eyes. "Hello, ladies. I'm Marcus, the manager." He clasped his hands together. "I understand you're looking for a scalp treatment today?" "And a slight trim," Althea added. "My daughter is competing in the state academic decathlon finals tomorrow." Marcus's smile tightened. "I see. Well, first, congratulations on the achievement. That's quite impressive." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "However, I'm afraid we won't be able to service your daughter today." The salon's ambient chatter seemed to halt. Clients at neighboring stations lowered their magazines, watching. "Why not?" Althea asked, her voice level but firm. "It's nothing personal," Marcus explained, his tone dropping to a confidential murmur that somehow carried through the quiet salon. "Our stylists aren't trained to handle this particular hair texture. From an insurance perspective, it's actually a liability for us." The word liability echoed in Zola's mind. She wasn't a client. She was a risk, a problem. Her hands gripped the armrests as heat rushed to her face. "A liability?" Althea repeated, each syllable precise. "Yes, you understand." Marcus gestured vaguely toward Zola's head. "We specialize in certain hair types, and this is outside our expertise. We wouldn't want to damage your daughter's unique style." Every eye in the salon now focused on their corner. A woman under a dryer lowered her magazine. Two stylists paused mid-cut. The receptionist stared openly. Zola wanted to disappear. 16 years old, sitting in a salon chair, transformed from academic decathlon finalist to public spectacle in seconds. "I see," Althea stood, her movements deliberate. No raised voice, no dramatic gesture, just controlled dignity. "Thank you for your time." She placed a protective hand on Zola's shoulder. As they walked toward the door, the whispers began. "Mom," Zola started, once they reached the car. "No," Althea said firmly. "What happened in there wasn't about your hair." She turned to face her daughter fully. "This isn't about a haircut denied. It's about a system that teaches professionals that black hair is a problem to be solved rather than a crown to be celebrated. But they've made a critical error today." Her eyes held a quiet determination that Zola recognized from dinner conversations about Althea's work. "What error?" Zola asked. "They discriminated against the wrong family." Althea drove across town to a neighborhood filled with familiar storefronts. She pulled into a small plaza dominated by a purple awning that read, "Crowning Glory" in gold lettering. Unlike Ecla's sterile showroom, this salon pulsed with life. "Mom, I just want to go home," Zola protested. Embarrassment still hot on her cheeks. "Trust me," Althea replied, her tone gentle but firm. The moment they opened the door, warmth enveloped them. Music flowed through the space, a perfect blend of classic soul and contemporary beats. The air carried notes of coconut oil, shea butter, and jasmine. Every chair held a different story. A woman with silver locks that cascaded down her back, a college student with an elaborate updo, a businessman receiving a precise lineup. Althea Vance. A woman with vibrant box braids moved toward them, arms outstretched. "And this must be the famous Zola. Your mother told me all about that essay. State finalist. Come in, come in." This was Imani Jefferson, owner of Crowning Glory for 20 years. Her welcome wasn't practiced or performative. It radiated genuine joy. "We had an incident at another salon," Althea explained quietly. Understanding flashed across Imani's face. "Well, their loss is our blessing. Let's get this crown ready for the stage, shall we?" Imani led Zola to a chair, her experienced hands examining the braided style with appreciation rather than hesitation. "Your aunt did beautiful work. I'll just refresh these edges and give you a deep treatment that'll make these braids shine under those stage lights tomorrow." As Imani worked, conversations flowed around them. A grandmother discussed her grandson's college acceptance. Two friends debated local politics. A young entrepreneur received business advice from the woman beside her. "This is why our salons matter. Imani explained as she applied a fragrant oil to Zola's scalp. For Black communities, these aren't just places for beauty. They're gathering spaces where knowledge passes between generations. During segregation, salons were some of the only Black-owned businesses allowed to thrive. They became community centers, political meeting spots, and safe havens. Her fingers moved with expert precision, each touch conveying respect. Here, your hair isn't a problem to be solved. It's your heritage, your crown. Zola felt the knot in her stomach finally loosen. The mirror reflected back not just her image, but the legacy of a community that understood her worth without explanation. The day after the academic decathlon, where Zola proudly accepted her third-place medal, Althea sat at her home office desk. She opened a fresh document on her computer and titled it, Incident Report, Salon. Her fingers moved methodically across the keyboard, recording every detail, date, time, exact statements, and the names of witnesses. 2 weeks passed. The sting of rejection faded into a dull ache for Zola, pushed aside by homework and college application preparations. But for Althea, the clock was ticking on a different timeline. The state's statute of limitations for filing discrimination complaints. One evening, Althea placed a manila envelope on the kitchen table where Zola was studying. "What's this?" Zola asked, opening it to find an official letter on state government letterhead. "A formal complaint I filed today against Salon for violation of the State Civil Rights Act," Althea explained, sitting beside her daughter. Specifically, racial discrimination in public accommodations. The letter detailed how the salon's refusal of service constituted illegal discrimination under the recently passed Crown Act, creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. The Crown Act explicitly recognizes that discrimination based on hair texture is racial discrimination, Althea explained. It closes the loophole that businesses have used for decades. They can't claim they're not discriminating against Black people while refusing to service hairstyles historically associated with Black identity. The letter concluded with a notification. A preliminary investigation would begin the following week. "Mom, are you sure about this?" Zola asked. "Won't this create problems at your job?" "This is my job," Althea replied. "I've recused myself from leading the investigation since I'm personally involved, but I will participate as the reporting party and witness." 3 days later, Althea received a response from a clause attorney denying any discrimination. Their defense claimed the salon had legitimate business reasons for the refusal, insufficient training and liability concerns. "Classic defense strategy," Althea noted, highlighting sections of their response. "They're arguing the business necessity exception, but that won't work here." The investigation proceeded methodically. State investigators requested ACLA's written policies, staff training records, and service history. They conducted interviews with staff and management. Marcus, the manager, maintained his position. "We simply don't have the expertise for certain hair textures," he insisted to investigators. "This is about professional standards, not race." When asked if they'd ever turned away white clients with curly hair, the salon couldn't provide examples. Their appointment records revealed a pattern. Clients with traditionally Black names were disproportionately rescheduled or referred elsewhere. Resistance mounted as the investigation deepened. ACLA hired a prestigious law firm specializing in defending businesses against discrimination claims. They submitted a motion to dismiss the complaint, arguing that a private business had the right to determine which services it offered. The state investigators rejected this motion, citing specific provisions of the Crown Act that classified hair texture as a protected characteristic. 6 weeks after the initial complaint, Althea received notice that a formal hearing had been scheduled. She would testify about her experience, alongside experts on anti-discrimination law and cosmetology standards. "Notice what's happening here," Althea explained to Zola that evening. "This isn't a dramatic confrontation with raised voices or personal attacks. It's something far more powerful, the system working exactly as designed to protect the civil rights of every citizen." She showed Zola her official state identification badge. "This represents something beyond me as an individual. It represents a promise that our laws apply equally to everyone. That's what makes it so effective." The state's investigation lasted 3 months. During that time, Althea's attorneys submitted 4 motions to dismiss, each more desperate than the last. Their final argument claimed that anti-discrimination laws violated the salon's artistic freedom, an argument the commission firmly rejected. On a Tuesday morning, exactly 90 days after the initial incident, the Civil Rights Commission released its findings in a 20-page report. The document detailed a clear violation of the state's anti-discrimination statutes and the Crown Act specifically. The penalties were substantial: a $10,000 fine payable to the State Civil Rights Enforcement Fund, mandatory comprehensive training on textured hair for all staff, conducted by a Black-owned cosmetology education firm, a written anti-discrimination policy to be prominently displayed in the salon, a public notice of violation posted in the salon window for 90 days, quarterly compliance reviews for 2 years. Local news stations covered the story during their evening broadcasts. Luxury Salon fined for hair discrimination ran as the 3rd headline on Channel 8. The online version generated hundreds of comments, revealing deeply divided public opinion. "Some people still don't get it," Zola observed, scrolling through comments. "They're saying we should have just gone somewhere else, that we're being too sensitive." "Change never comes all at once," Althea replied. "But each case builds precedent. Each fine makes discrimination more expensive than compliance." The salon industry's reaction proved equally mixed. 3 high-end salons in the downtown area quickly announced expanded training programs for their stylists. Their social media posts emphasized inclusivity and showcased diverse clients. Yet resistance persisted. A group of salon owners formed a coalition, challenging the Crown Act as government overreach. They argued that businesses should maintain the right to specialize in certain hair types based on training and expertise. Althea initially released a terse statement accepting the findings while denying discriminatory intent. 2 weeks later, facing mounting public pressure, they hired a Black stylist with expertise in textured hair and announced a partnership with a local cosmetology school to develop more inclusive training. For Zola, the resolution brought neither jubilation nor perfect closure. One evening, as she walked past Althea and saw the violation notice in their window, she felt something more nuanced: the quiet, satisfying click of a system working as it should. "How does it feel?" Althea asked, noticing her daughter's expression. "Complicated," Zola admitted. "It doesn't erase what happened, but maybe it prevents it from happening to someone else." The case established important legal precedent. 3 similar complaints were filed against other businesses in the following months, citing the Althea decision as a reference point. When a national beauty magazine requested an interview with Althea and Zola, they agreed on one condition: the article must include practical information about how to file discrimination complaints and a detailed explanation of the Crown Act. The published piece, titled "More Than Hair: How One Family's Stand Against Discrimination Changed an Industry," became required reading in several cosmetology schools. 6 months after the ruling, Zola visited Althea with her debate team after a competition. The salon looked different. Diverse faces in styling chairs, textured hair mannequins in the training area, and Black-owned product lines on display shelves. The manager who had turned her away was gone. The new manager, a woman with locks, greeted Zola's team warmly. "Progress, imperfect, but real." Hair discrimination might seem like a minor issue to some, but it represents a larger pattern that affects millions. When businesses can deny service based on natural hair texture, they're reinforcing a system that demands Black people alter their appearance to receive equal treatment. The Crown Act now exists in 17 states and continues to expand. But laws alone don't create change. People willing to use those laws do. The most important lesson, Althea explains in her civil rights workshops, isn't just knowing your rights. It's being willing to enforce them through proper channels. Most discrimination goes unreported because people don't know how to navigate the system. Whether you've experienced this personally or are just learning about it, your voice matters in this conversation. Every comment, share, and discussion brings awareness to an issue that's been normalized for too long. Today, Zola leads her college's Black Student Association. Their Know Your Rights campaign has helped 5 students successfully challenge discriminatory policies. Her essay on the Crown Act won a national scholarship. Change happens in courtrooms and commission hearings, Zola notes, but it starts with someone simply saying, "This isn't right," and knowing exactly what to do next. Have you faced discrimination based on your natural hair or appearance? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone else recognize discrimination and take action. If this video resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button to support more Black narratives that highlight both injustice and the pathways to accountability. Like this video to help more people see it. And click the notification bell to never miss our weekly uploads showcasing powerful stories of resistance and triumph. Remember, the most effective response to discrimination isn't always a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it's simply knowing your rights and having the courage to enforce them.